Hello, Danica here and welcome to another video on the channel. Today we are playing the World's Hardest Game 3 No Coins mod. This is a mod that I made recently. I had thought about making this mod earlier, but I didn't think it would be too interesting to play. But it turns out it is actually quite interesting and a lot of fun as well. So we're just finishing level 1 here. As the name suggests, this mod has no coins, which means that there is no golden door at the end of each level. So the objective of each level is merely to get to the finish as quickly as possible. For some levels, this makes a huge difference. Particularly levels 1, 2 and 3 are all a lot shorter because of this condition. But levels 4 and 5, there is less difference because the way the keys are structured means you still have to get most of the keys in order to progress to the end of the level. So level 2, you can see here that we can just we've got to get that key at the top of A2, and then we can just head straight down here, and the finish checkpoint is open for us. So we just head straight in there. So we're only about a minute into the game and we've already finished levels 1 and 2, but level 4 and 5 are going to be quite a bit longer. Level 3 is also quite a bit shorter than it usually is. Although the finish is right next to the start, you can't get there immediately. You have to get one of these keys first because you need to give yourself some room to escape as that enemy comes across. So even though the final checkpoint is open and right next to the start, you do have to get that key first, but it still only takes about a minute and makes this a very quick level. So just like that, we're already into level 4, and now level 4 is going to be mostly the same as usual. Firstly, in B1 there's no coins over the left, so all we need to do is get the key and go on through, so that's a bit faster than normal. And of course B2 has no coins at all, so that's a big change. One thing I noticed when playing this mod was it was a lot of fun because you get to see all of the patterns and you get to do a lot of the things you normally do in the game, but it's a lot less stressful and a lot, easier in a lot of respects because a lot of hard challenges and even just some easy challenges are eliminated from the game when you play in this game mode. If you'd like to try out the mod for yourself, there will be a link in the description where you can download it. And of course 4C3 is a breeze without all those coins, although it still can cause some problems. I think I died here a couple of times, so it's not a piece of cake, but it's a lot easier than it was before. Yeah, a couple of deaths down there because I got offset on my pattern. Something else I noticed is that because of the lack of coins, some areas I had to improvise new routes or new ways through them, and that actually sometimes caused me more deaths than I would have if I'd just done my coins route. So this was just a casual run. I'm not really planning to speedrun this mod, but if you were to speedrun this, there's a lot of time saves you could implement compared to any percent. And I didn't get any of the paints because I was just trying to get through this as quickly as possible, so basically doing any percent. But even with the paints, you could still get a very fast time on this mod, but for levels 1, 2 and 3, you'd have to do a lot more of the level if you were going to get the paints. Okay, so 4D4 and 4E4 are a breeze, but we still need to do 4E5, and this is exactly the same as the original version of this room. So this key is needed in order to get into 4D2, and then in 4D2 the coins will be removed, but there's a key in there we need to get into 4B4, and then 4B4 has the key to get into A2. So that's kind of the big structure of level 4, and because it's all reliant a sequence of keys that you need to get in the correct order, the fact that there's no coins means you still need to go through that sequence. But a fair amount of time is saved along the way by not getting the coins. I would estimate probably 1 to 2 minutes could be saved here of an optimal any percent run versus an optimal no coins run. And I died here a couple of times, not quite sure why, but we're out of 4e5 now, and again, this is an example where I had to improvise a route on the way back on d4, because I always go up the top to get the coins on d4. So I just improvised my way through here, which actually meant I died a couple of times. And even though I'm taking a shorter path, because I died a few times, it probably still took me longer than it would have if I went up the top. But even if I went up the top, I might have died as well, so it's neither here nor there. And like I said, this is just a casual run. I'm not planning to speed run this mod. I was trying my best to go fast though, and the final time I ended up with was about 26 minutes, so you can see that a lot of time is saved by this mod, given that the any percent world record is 37 minutes. Okay, so now we're through 4d4, back to 4c4, and this room is pretty much the same as ordinary, except that those 4 coins that are usually in the middle are not there. So on our first pass through this room, we just skipped that because it's redundant now. And once we get through here, oop, little death there. Dying quite a few times on this area, but that's just because I'm a bit out of practice on this. I think we'll get through. Oh, no, not that time. So some changes, the major changes on level 4 would be 4c3 and 4b2. And I guess 4d2 also, you save a bit of time without the coins. And 4e4 actually, and 4d4. So there is still quite a lot of time saved, but actually level 5 has quite a lot of coins in the original version that you can skip. So we'll see that shortly once we get into level 5. There's quite a lot of time saved that you can get by skipping certain sections. So we just need to pick up this key, although it's easier said than done, because the alignment out of that cutscene is a bit tricky. I tried a key clip here, but it didn't work. I think it is possible to key clip through that, but it's reasonably precise, so yeah. And again, I'm a bit out of practice at this, and it is a difficult maneuver, but we get it this time, and so now we can skip the rest of the level and just head straight on back through 4c2. And of course 4c2 is exactly the same as it always was. Slight slip up there, but that's okay. And then I forgot to do a pattern reset, which meant that as I went through here I got a bit confused, but I was able to get back on track with a pattern that I was familiar with. So I just waited a bit there, and now I'm on my usual cycle. Head back through 4c3. It would be interesting to see what 4c3 is like if you routed it for no coins, because it probably could be quite a lot faster than what I just did then. That was just improvised, so you could probably go between the enemies and do some precise maneuvers to save a couple of seconds in that room. It's not really worth learning in any percent, although maybe one day I might look into that. But it would be interesting for no coins. And of course, as we head into B4, this is where the final key is that we need to get into A2, and there's no escaping this. We have to face the devil. But actually, I didn't get too many deaths in this area on this particular playthrough, so it wasn't too bad. And 4B4 is not too bad when you're not speedrunning. You know, I just kind of take it casually. Takes off a lot of the pressure. And there we go, we got through to here with only one death actually. There'll be a few more deaths on the way back, but nothing too serious. And as of that 34th death, we've already got more deaths than my any percent world record. But as I said earlier, we are going to beat the time of my any percent world record, even though we've got more deaths. This category could probably be under 20 minutes if it was optimized. But like I said, I'm not really planning to do that. It is fun, but you still have to do 4B4 and 4E5, which are two of the most annoying rooms. I mean, I like them, but they're also a bit emotionally draining sometimes. So I'm probably not going to speedrun this. So heading back through 4B4, we just got this short section, and then the last section, and then the easy part back to the checkpoint. It's interesting, the time distributions in this mod. Already in the original version of the game, levels 1, 2 and 3 are a lot shorter than 4 and 5. But when you use this mod, levels 1, 2 and 3 are even shorter compared to levels 4 and 5. So we got to level 4 in about 2 minutes, and then we're going to spend another 20 or so minutes on levels 4 and 5 combined. So it's even more out of balance, if you like. Anyway, we're almost through level 4. Just got to get through C2 here, and then B2 is going to be quite quick. Now, I just improvised my way through B2, but I found a nice route that's actually pretty quick. You just go up here, cross here, and then you do have to wait for this bar at the end, but then that's it. And I made a mistake here. For some reason I entered that room at the top when you're really supposed to enter at the bottom so that you can fit under those enemies when they move, and then I made a mistake there because I was trying to be fancy. Then I decided I'd just do things the way they were supposed to be done, and I got through it. Now A2 is interesting. This is one of those areas where not having the coins actually confused me a little bit. I made it through without any deaths, but it certainly required a bit more concentration because the positions of the coins actually give you hints as to where the doubles are going to be. And so without the coins, I had to focus a bit more about where I was and concentrate more on when I needed to do the doubles and when were the singles. So that was interesting, that actually the lack of coins actually made that area a little bit harder, just because I was so used to having the coins there. Now, of course I could do a menu pattern reset here, but I wasn't really bothered. So we wait for the cycle, and here it is. And even though I could get the grey paint quite easily, I didn't bother doing that either. I'm just going through any percent style. Okay, so onwards and upwards to level 5. Now, at the beginning here, I just kind of did my coin route, even though it's probably not completely necessary, just because it was what I was familiar with, so that I wasn't going to put myself on an unfamiliar cycle. So I just copied it basically in the middle. In the middle is where there could be some time save. On the top and bottom, it doesn't really make any difference, because the coins basically on your way anyway. You need to get both of these keys because that's the only way to get out of the room. So there's not really much room for time save here, except for taking the taking the middle a little bit faster is probably possible. But as we move on to the rest of level 5, there will be a lot of time save. So, for example, B4 is a simple example. On the left, we've got no coins here, which saves, I don't know, 5 or 10 seconds from collecting those. And as we head into C4, there won't be any coins there, which doesn't save too much time, since you still have to get the keys, but it does save a little bit, and it also makes it easier because the route that I used to get the coins has some difficult sections, but without having to worry about collecting the coins makes it easier to perform that route. So, similar to level 4, we still need to visit every single room in the game, but most of the rooms have less to do in them. So for example, this room here would normally have, I think it's 16 coins in here as well as the key, but without those we just need to get the key and get back, which saves a bit of time. And also here, I'm about to head into 5C3. I wasn't really thinking too carefully when I was running this. It turns out you actually don't need to get this key here at all, because what this key does is it unlocks the right side of B3, as you'll see shortly. Unlocks the right side of B3, but there's no essential items in that side because the coins have been removed, and the only other thing there is a key, but that key is not necessary for anything really. So it would have been better if I just skipped, basically if I just skipped that key and I could have gone straight back to B4 and saved a bit of time. But I was just following my any percent route for the ordinary game without really thinking about it too much. Anyway, we'll head on to B3. We do need to get the key over here, but we save quite a bit of time by not needing the coins. There's 2 lots of coins in the middle, and we don't need either of them. Now, I tried to do a key clip there, but it didn't quite work. That's something I've been practicing recently. But I think I get it on my next attempt, so let's see. I used to think this key clip was very difficult and not worth doing, but recently I've been practicing it and found that it's not as difficult as I first thought. The trick, or at least a trick that I found that helped me, is you need to wait for quite a bit until the enemies come back up, and then, as you saw there, I did a kind of a zigzag maneuver. So I positioned myself close to the enemies, then I went to the left to get the key, and then I zigged back in to get inside the maze, and that's the most reliable technique I found for doing the key clip. It probably won't work if you get the key from above. If you come from above and you go through the key, you'll start collecting the key earlier. Whereas if you get it from the side, you can start the cutscene later, which gives you more time to go through. Now, we just went through C3 as well, which is cool. Because of the lack of coins in C3, we were able to just dart through the middle, which is neat. Although if that passage wasn't available in the middle, we could have actually used the key that if you were doing this properly, you wouldn't have collected the key. You could have then used that as a key clip to get across to the other side, which I think is a really cool concept. Although it's actually not necessary because Stevie made a path through there anyway. And C2 is a little bit quicker because of the lack of coins, although I did die, so it didn't make too much difference. C1 is going to be a lot easier without coins. This room is a breeze without the coins. The bottom and top are a lot easier when the coins are removed. Still not easy, but all we need to do is get both of these keys and then head on to D1. So here I'm able to take a much faster route through here than I normally would, and it's easier as well, so that makes this area a bit of a breeze. And I do like this area as it is normally, but it's a lot of fun to just relax and play an easier version of the same thing. So as we head into D1, D1 is also made easier because we don't need to go up to the top because there's no coins there, and we don't need to go to the bottom left because there's no coins there. And when we go through this section we're doing now, we don't need to go to the corners of the cross, we can just head straight through. So that really is much easier than the original version of that room. So we can just breeze through that. And now we're heading to 5D2. So we do still need to do D2 and D3, because of course D3 has that critical key in it which will allow us to get to A3. So we'll head on over there. Yep. And this is another room where I actually did get thrown off a bit by the fact that there were no coins. I actually died here quite a few times, partly just because I'm out of practice, but also because the lack of coins just distracted me a little bit. Particularly what happened a couple of times was I died because I wasn't lined up properly in the middle. So you might see it shortly, I think. The place that the enemies stop in the middle of the screen, there it is. I wasn't low enough down. The place that the enemies stop in the middle of the screen is kind of halfway in between two tiles. And so you need to be careful about where you are if you want to avoid that. And usually the coins help you to line up with that. So I guess I usually use the coins to help me line up with that. Whereas when I was playing this, I had to use the grid tiles, which also works fine, but because it's not what I'm used to, then I made more mistakes because of that change. And of course D3, there's no problems here. We don't need to worry about the bar of enemies because we're so quick that it's not going to come in time. So we can just duck out, get the key and come back. And then we just need to make it back to the checkpoint without dying. And then we'll be heading over to the end of the game, to the grey areas. So we head back through here. And again, on the return here, 5C3 is slightly faster because of the lack of coins, although I did die, but once you get through this properly, which I think I do this time, you can get through a cycle earlier because you don't need to get those coins. So we head back through C4. And another interesting thing is once we get into the grey is also a lot easier than it usually is, because firstly A3, which we're about to enter, has no coins, which saves a little bit of time and a little bit of grief. But the biggest improvement is on A2, where of course you don't need to do the middle section and you don't need to do the right section at all, because the only thing they usually have in them is coins, but in this version of course they are completely empty. So I had a couple of deaths on A3 because I was trying to do my speed strat through here, which I haven't practiced in a while. But then I decided just to slow down and take it safe, and once I did that I got through here with no problems. So we can just breeze on down here without worrying about any coins, and same thing up this side. And once again I had a little bit of trouble in here. I was supposed to go to the left there. I had a little bit of a panic here, and then I just made it out. And then we're done. That's it. Once you get through the left side, that is the end of the game. Yeah, that's another area where I just got distracted by the lack of coins, and I just wasn't familiar with that. There was an entry on the left that I missed. I was a bit hesitant, but luckily I was able to improvise my way out of it. And so we can head on straight to 5A1, where there would usually be a golden door, straight into the cutscene, and that is the World's Hardest Game 3 with no coins. This took us 53 deaths. Of course, a lot less is possible, but I'm probably not going to play this again. But I had a lot of fun playing it. Again, if you'd like to try this yourself, there'll be a link in the description to where you can download this and play it for yourself. Other than that, thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.